Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 45th chapter. And he brought up out of him a merciful man. When you read in the 44th chapter, this ends with it ended with the 12 tribes, right? Praising famous men. So it mentioned Jacob and the 12 tribes, and so here is saying out of him, right, out of Jacob, a merciful man came forth, which found favor in the sight of all flesh, even Moses, beloved of God and men, whose memorial is blessed. He made him like to the glorious saints, and magnified him, so that his enemies stood in fear of him, right, by the things that he did over there in Egypt. By his words he caused the wonders to cease, and he made him glorious in the sight of kings, and gave him a commandment for his people, being the law, statutes, and commandments, and shewed him part of his glory, right? And that's when the Lord, it's all in the book of Exodus, or in the Torah. It says here, that's when the Lord passed by, right? And he told Moses that you can't see his face, but he showed him his backside. It says here, he sanctified him in his faithfulness and meekness, and chose him out of all men. He made him to hear his voice, and brought him into the dark cloud, which is the mountain. And remember, it did say there was a cloud right there, but Moses went to the top of the mount, and gave him commandments before his face, even the law of life and knowledge, that he might teach Jacob his covenants, which Jacob here represents Israel, and Israel his judgments. He exalted Aaron, an holy man like unto him, even his brother, of the tribe of Levi. And an everlasting covenant he made with him, and gave him the priesthood among the people. He beautified him with comely ornaments, and clothed him with a robe of glory. He put upon him perfect glory, and strengthened him with rich garments, with breeches, which are like, what you would wear under, shorts, you could say, with a long robe, and the ephod. And he compassed him with pomegranates, which were part of the designs of Aaron's garment, and with many golden bells round about. And those bells were at the hem of his garment, that as he went there might be a sound and a noise made that might be heard in the temple, for a memorial to the children of Israel, or the children of his people. With an holy garment, with gold and blue silk and purple, the work of the embroidery, and with a breastplate of judgment, with the Urim and the Thummim. And the Urim and the Thummim were two stones that were used, to determine the counsel of the Lord. So they would often be in the breastplate of the high priest, and when they needed to inquire, at the mouth of the Lord, they would use that when they ask a question, use that to determine the Lord's answer. With the twisted scarlet and work of the cunning workman, with the precious stones graven like seals and set in gold, the work of the jeweler, right, and with a writing engraved for a memorial, after the number of the tribes of Israel, right. And in Aaron's breastplate, you had different 12 stones representing the 12 tribes, and each stone had the engraving of the name of the tribe in it. And that's how it would symbolize him bearing the tribes upon his chest, or upon his breastplate, when he would go before the Lord. He set a crown of gold upon the mitre, wherein was engraved holiness, an ornament of honor, a costly work, the desires of the eyes, goodly and beautiful. Right. This is basically going into the how the Lord instructed Moses to have Aaron's garment made, and basically how majestic it was, okay, being that it was a design given from the Lord for Aaron the high priest. Before him there were none such, neither did ever any stranger put them on. So Aaron was the first that the Lord set up like this, and not anybody could just put on those garments, but only his children and his children's children perpetually. Their sacrifices shall be wholly consumed every day, twice continually, and that's the morning, right, and evening oblation. Moses consecrated him, right, anointed him, made him sanctified for the role, and anointed him with holy oil. This was appointed unto him by an everlasting covenant, and to his seed, so long as the heavens should remain, that they should minister unto him, that is to the Lord, to serve the Lord, and execute the office of the priesthood, and bless the people in his name. He chose him out of all men, living, to offer sacrifices to the Lord, incense, and a sweet savor for a memorial, to make reconciliation for his people, right? These were the roles that the priest would you do, right? Particularly starting with Aaron. He gave unto him his commandments and authority in the statutes of judgments, that he should teach Jacob the testimonies and inform Israel of his laws. Strangers conspired together against him and maligned, which is to speak evil of him in the wilderness. Even the men that were of Dathan's and Abiron's side, which is Abiram, and the congregation of Kor, which is Korah, with fury and wrath. See, they came against, and that's in there, it's in Numbers, they came against Moses and Aaron, and the Lord brought judgment upon them. Right? It says here, this the Lord saw, and it displeased him. And in his wrathful indignation, they were consumed. He did wonderful wonders upon them to consume them with the fiery flame. And he also opened up the earth, right, to swallow them. So there were some that got destroyed by being swallowed literally into the earth. But he made Aaron more honorable and gave him a heritage, and divided unto him the first fruits of the increase. Especially, he prepared bread in abundance. Yeah, so the first fruits that Israel would bring to offer, in terms of who would actually consume it, that would be given to Aaron, okay, and his sons. Verse 21, it says, For they eat of the sacrifices of the Lord, which he gave unto him and his seed. Howbeit, in the land of the people, he had no inheritance. So the Levites didn't have an actual portion of the land as an inheritance for them. So there is no like tribe of Levi chunk of land over here in the land of Israel. Neither had he any portion among the people, for the Lord himself is his portion and inheritance. Okay, and that's if you look into the name Levi, right, it's Law Yah, which is joined to me. So you can see that nomen over there. Verse 23, it says, the third in glory is Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, because he had zeal in the fear of the Lord, and stood up with good courage of heart when when the people were turned back, and made reconciliation for Israel. Therefore was there a covenant of peace made with him. And I believe this was when he thrusted the javelin, through that wicked Israelite that came there with the Midianite woman, at the time when Jake were going off, being joined unto Baal Peor, by being led astray, to eat of the sacrifices of idols. Okay, it says here, verse 24, therefore was there a covenant of peace made with him, that he should be the chief of the sanctuary and of his people, and that he and his posterity, his descendants, should have the dignity of the priesthood forever, according to the covenant made with David, son of Jesse, of the tribe of Judah, that the inheritance of the king should be to his posterity, right? So just like the Lord made a covenant with David, right, that the inheritance, of rulership would be to his, to remain in his line, basically, right, his posterity alone. So the inheritance of Aaron should also be unto his seed. So just as David was, blessed to have one to always sit upon the throne, and that it wouldn't depart from him, Likewise, Aaron was blessed with the honor, okay, of this priesthood. Verse 26, God give you wisdom in your heart to judge his people in righteousness, that their good things be not abolished, and that their glory may endure forever. And that brings us to the end of the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 45th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.